like to call the meeting to order, 6 o'clock on Monday, October 13th. Let the record reflect that all elected and appointed board members are present. No student rep this time. Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Any changes or additions to the agenda? I know we do have executive session afterwards.
No.
Executive session for what, 15, 20 minutes? Okay. And then just a reminder, this is just a study session, so there is no public comment or all of, the other stuff that we do during regular board meetings that is on our regular board meeting, which is the fourth Monday of the month. Bond and levy planning discussion. Gentlemen?
So Mitch is going to present to you where we sit right now in levy planning for February's election, so that at the regular meeting on the 27th, we can bring you the resolution for the levy, which will allow us to turn it into the elections office and get everything in place, so.
Get it down there right now. So let's start with the 23 to 26 levies. All right. So in 22, 2022, we went out for a regular EP&O and a capital projects levy at the same time. And when we went out for the levy, we went out at an estimated $1.50 per thousand for the levy rate. We maintaining that for 4 years, which accounts for growth within the district and growth in assessed value. So more housing coming in, as well as your property values go up every year. Between the regular levy, which was $1.50 per thousand, and the capital projects levy, which was approximately $1 per thousand, we were right about $2.50 per thousand. As we look at this next year, because of the assessed values, we are actually at $2.53 per thousand. So we've got the $1.54, which is the regular levy, and then 99 cents, which is capital projects levy. All right, so that's that one. Let's open up the one that's text. There's a third.
Sorry.
So last time we presented, we had the thought, this building, right, the capital projects levy was gonna do this building. It was gonna provide for technology. In the bottom section there is the technology piece. You can see that staffing salaries, PD, student laptops. Can you scroll down just a little bit? Down at the bottom, you can see the totals for the tech portion of the levy. And then these were all the projects we were going to do. Along with this building.
If it has a 0 for the cost, is that because we haven't done it yet, or was it free?
Nothing's free.
It was because there's no money left over to
do
do
it,
those
okay.
projects. So, I believe we got down to the bottom and ran out of funds.
Everything's gotten more expensive.
Which, as as is always the case, we can have our best planning for 4 years out, but we So instead of saying this is everything we are going to do, we say these are our priorities. And everybody knows as you go through life, priorities change, right? You plan for one kid, you have two. You plan for two, you have four. Your priorities change throughout. So have we gotten to all of the projects on the list? Not all of them yet, but we still have another year to go. We've done pretty good, but we've also done a lot more projects that weren't on the list that came up, other priorities that we had to do. And so as we look to the future, one of the things that we do with our capital projects levy is we maintain the student laptops, right? And that's a huge thing to have students have actual technology, not just Chromebooks. We're talking an actual laptop sitting in front of them so that they've got good technology. My suggestion is we continue on with the capital projects levy. Now, if we go out for a bond and the voters approve a bond, we can structure the repayment on that bond to be in such a fashion that what we were paying on the capital projects levy then turns around and pays for the bond, right? So we wouldn't start paying on the bond until 5 years down the road or something like that. So, you know, working with the company to help structure that bond repayment so that it doesn't affect the property owners by having, now we've got a capital projects levy and we've got an EP&O levy and we've got a bond payment. So bond payment's a future discussion as we look to the future. Right now, what we're looking at is basically an EP&O levy. Can you pull up? The last one is using the state's projected values, which the state gets their values from Department of Revenue. I sat in a long meeting conversation with them. You know, are these numbers real or did, you know, go ahead and scroll down the page just a little bit. So you can see right there, our current levy rate is $5.2 million. And if we go for $1.60 per thousand, I think, go ahead and scroll down a little bit, please. Yeah, right there. If we go for $1.60 per thousand using the projected rates, that shows a moderate increase between 26, 27, 27, 28. The state says they fully fund basic ed. They do not. One of the biggest case in points is why would they have to have safety net for special ed if they fully funded basic ed? Special ed is first and foremost basic ed. So they are admitting that they don't fully fund basic ed. So as they increase MSOCs based on one IPD and they increase salaries based on another IPD, and none of them keep up with CPI. So implicit price deflator, versus consumer price index. And consumer price index is, we're right next to Seattle, so we have one of the higher rates of increase in this area. So that's why we have to go to those voters, and we have to ask for money, first of all, because we're not funded. We're not funded for things like athletics. We're not funded for field trips. Those kinds of things come out of levy dollars. So, so the suggestion after we've had some discussions and some meetings is that we look at $1.60 per thousand for an EP&O, and then 90 cents per thousand for capital projects. So we're keeping it right at that 250 level, which actually, I mean, if you want to look at it, it's 3 cents less than the current year. But that would maintain programs and staffing and also the capital projects would be able to, help us have money for those major repairs that we need, that if we didn't have it, would have to come out.
You may have questions, Michael?
Considering the extent of the repairs that we really need to make, I mean, I hate asking for more money. I don't like my taxes going up either, but I also don't like my kids going to school that's, dilapidated.
Well, and one of the things that I like to promote, to look at, is whatever repairs we do, whatever maintenance we do, if we upgrade the HVAC, we take those pieces and put them in a new building. Repurpose what we've already bought and save money in the future. The hardest part is we've gotta have a super majority for a bond. And Washington taxpayers are taxed, gas is outrageous,
Can confirm.
so, I don't like paying taxes either.
Sure.
So I totally get that statement, and I'm not a good salesman.
So are we looking at this more like this is what we think we can get the voters to agree to? Or are we looking at this like this is what we need to actually keep and maintain?
I think
do
this is
benefit.
I think this keeps us in the scenario we can, and it's something that the voters can agree to. It doesn't, it's not jumping up and saying, okay, now it's, $2.50 per thousand plus another $1 per thousand. It's, what we're trying to do is maintain where we're at.
And it allows us to have the discussion with the CFAC about the 90 cents on the capital projects levy sliding over to bond debt in 5 years. So that any bond we have will be partially eaten up by the 90 cents on the capital project side.
Mike?
No, I think it's really critical that we pass the levy in February, and I think this is a reasonable ask. We're just keeping what we have, actually, like you said, going down 3 cents, so, thank you, I agree.
Isaac, anything?
I agree with what they said, but was there anything new? Did they bring up any more about dropping the supermajority down to the simple majority plus one?
They've been pushing it for years, and trying for years, and in the legislature, there was one bill, I don't remember if it was last year or the year before, they tried to get it down to 55%.
Last year.
And it did not pass.
Dang.
It's that hard line of if your people want it, they'll vote for it. That's a hard ask. And the state says, well, we'll help these small school districts. Well, you guys are in a property rich area, so guess what? We're not gonna help you. We don't get LEA here. So it's frustrating. It's super frustrating.
Marianne?
I'm gonna ask a question in a different direction. If voters voted no for a replacement levy, what would that do to our general fund?
Decimate.
Destroy us.
Yeah, we don't. We don't.
What's worst case scenario?
We would have to go to bare bones.
We're already at bare bones.
So higher class sizes, less staff.
Sports are going away.
No
Sports taking a hit,
Sports
No,
would
extra
go away.
credit.
music
activity.
programs.
Yeah, all extracurriculars. So it's tough,
Tech.
right? Because we wanna give our kids everything, but
Yeah.
the days of the state giving us more than we need that's gone. And the legislature's looking at a huge revenue shortfall right now.
Even compared to what they projected in the last session. Even with the new taxes.
Okay, thank you for your honesty.
I'd heard, sorry to interrupt. I'd heard that there's new laws going into effect that they're now charging sales tax on services
personal services.
some services and some things.
I heard they may actually carve out for schools, because the whole idea was that sales tax was going to go to education. Is that, are we going to be paying extra tax on services and
There's lawsuits on that right now, so there's another one that just came up, a company that provides security services,
Mhm.
they're suing, so they're trying to get everything, all of it put on hold until January. But then goes both ways, then the state is gonna be even less, cause they're looking at like $5 billion that they were gonna get from that, so
Sure.
it's,
But see, in that short sight,
It's a double-edged sword.
it increases our costs as a school district.
Exactly. That's
all
fine.
of those contract services that we have, including our contract with SIPSI, which we're part of a cooperative, becomes taxable.
We are starting to see taxes on the things that we're
services.
getting
Yeah.
from some vendors.
well, and I'd like to make sure that the Sky Valley Citizens for Schools group gets going ASAP, because that's the group that gets out and organizes and does door knocking and does flyers, and that's the group that can actually say, please vote yes on this, whereas we can't. So, I'll be at the district office tomorrow anyway in the morning, so I can get a list of people I know that, cause I've been in that for a few years now, so we need to make sure that gets going.
Okay.
All right, district operations update, unless anybody has any other questions or comments about the levy.
Okay, so the plan will be to bring you a resolution with the $1.60 and the 90 at the regular meeting in October for passing, and then starting the process with county office for the February ballot, just so everybody knows.
I believe we'll have two separate resolutions, one for each.
Measure. So I was asked to provide a little bit of an update on some of the things we've been working on across the district since July. So I gave you a printed copy as well, but we're gonna talk a little bit about operational things, communications and safety, which are the three big categories that we've been working on so far. So from an operational standpoint, between Isaac, Paul, Mike Marin, Mitch, myself, and all the department leads, Charlie, Dave, Chris Hill, and the principals, we've been working on what are the systems that we're looking to build to help with checks and balances, so nothing is done in silos. We're all in one system and nothing is decided in isolation, so how do we get all those voices and get decisions for the future? So the first one was a staffing review. So we've had some analysis done on our staffing comparable to other districts our size as well as in our county. So that report is being wrapped up and will be coming soon. From just how do we operate, I mentioned in the last board meeting that all of the contracts the district enters into are now coming to the board, just for transparency for people to see every contract that we're signing. But part of that is it's having to go through a process that it didn't go through before. So when a department head or a principal wants to contract with a third party, the person in Washington that has the authority to sign a contract is the superintendent. We had contracts signed by a variety of people. And so now those contracts are coming from those department heads to Mitch first with an account code or a proposed account code. How do they plan to fund or pay for what they're asking for? And then from Mitch, it comes to me, and then it goes to Kayla. Kayla assigns an internal contract number so we can track year over year contracts. Is this a every year expense? Is this a one-time expense? And so we can track those, and every department head has the contract list, the internal contract list, so they know what's been approved and they can look for at the board meeting. Purchasing, we are moving to using purchase orders. There was a lot of transactions that were done on the P card. What that doesn't do is allow you to track and data mine your expenditures to a detailed level. So purchase orders are required prior to somebody using the credit card or purchasing on behalf of the district. So that allows us to get that information in a more usable format as we talk about expenditures relative to revenues. As we've talked about in the budgeting process from years past, the district has been spending more than it's bringing in, so we're gonna need to do some data digging to decide, where are those expenditures occurring? Where are we duplicating some of our services, which we've already identified? We're moving from Power School to Cumulative Student, which is going to allow us to eliminate several other software programs that are doing things that Power School doesn't have the function to do that Cumulative will. So we had our last meeting this morning. From a hiring perspective, Isaac Swartz, so there's no confusion because Isaac and Isaac, started with the district in October and has been trying to build a process for how people get hired and onboarded. So we now have a form that goes back and forth between the principal and HR and back to the principal once all the background checks and things have been done. We're working with DocHub right now to make that a workflow so that instead of having to pass paper back and forth, they can sign it, it goes to the next person in line, that person signs it. That's just a process that we started after, if you remember, we adopted the electronic signature policy, so then Dave Moon's been working with us on building that out. Records requests, for those that don't know, Washington has the most open record request rules in the country, and we spend a large amount of time on record requests. We have contracted with Civics Plus, which will put our record request protocols online, so somebody can just click request records, and also that will provide a list to the community of all record requests that are processed by the district, who's requesting them, what they requested, and then the publicly viewable documents will just be available on the website. So some transparency around what is taking a ton of staff time for people to respond to record requests. And then, as we've mentioned before, we're going with WASDA through a complete review of all the policies in the district. We're doing critical first, so you'll see the first round of those in the business meeting in October, and then we'll do one series at a time. So we'll do the 1,000 series, 2,000 as a block, because we have quite a few policies that are from 1998 that haven't seen the updates. So this is the best way for us to get those processed. And then they will move from, if you're familiar with our website, they're on a transact portion of the website. They will move into the new board website, which is community, because board docs is moving to community. So all that will then be housed in one place. From the board approving a policy to it going to the policy, the transact part of the website will go away. So we won't have to have them. It'll be easier for Kayla to do the policy updates because they'll move from the meeting into the policy side. Around communications, we have been using Parent Square with great feedback and success at the buildings and in athletics. So it is something that's helps with translation because it translates. It's like Facebook Messenger. You can use it this way with families and go from a teacher or a staff to a family, and it'll translate to the family's native language. They can type in their language. It'll translate it back to English. So far that's been really helpful. Probably the next thing you'll see us turn on next year is Student Square for middle school and high school, which is the same thing, but it allows for the communication with students that's archived by the district consistent with the law. So eliminates the risk of people using their own personal cell phones to communicate with families and different things. We're also relaunching our social media. Thank you to the board for supporting, getting Kayla some support on social media. That's a key way people communicate. And Dave is currently working on getting that person access so we can do more posting, and we're working with staff to get more student images up on our social media. We do a lot of one-way communication, but trying to highlight the great things that kids are doing will be a focus. And then the last thing under communications is we have been working with AT&T, Dave, Charlie, Mitch, Paul, Mike, Kayla, and the city of Sultan. Actually, we talked about this, is moving from the radios that we have now that don't go campus to campus to an AT&T device that will be on what's called the FirstNet network. That's a federal priority network that's available only to emergency services and government agencies. And they maintain communication protocols even when towers are down. So we can talk from a principal that has that phone can talk to a bus that has a receiver in the phone. Right now, those are in two different systems. And if the campus bought more radios that the district didn't buy, they're actually running 3 different systems. So some campuses bought like Radio Shack, for those people that are older like me and remember when Radio Shack was a thing, bought radios that don't communicate with the radios from Hytera that the district purchased. And so we have 3 different communications going on at the same time. So just a way to unify those. And as other districts and law enforcement use those in emergencies, they can flip you to a common channel under unified command, and we can actually communicate directly with first responders as that goes out, so. Okay, and the other safety thing is around I Love You Guys. The district used to use a program called Alice, if you've heard that before. I Love You Guys is a program that comes out of Southwest, well, now it's Texas State University in San Marcos. It came out as part of the Sandy Hook response and aligns with other school districts and law enforcement in Snohomish County are using this. So if we have a response needed, you need agencies that know what the language is that you're using that's consistent, so that when they hear shelter or they hear evacuate, they know what we're communicating. So that's gonna create that practice. Also, if we ever have to evacuate our campuses, then you go to what's called reunification, which is where parents are reunified with their students. And you can utilize staff from other districts to help with that. Say, even for the district office, if something happens at SES and we're not able to get those critical staff members out, we would need to lean on somebody else that knows the process and protocol that could step in and reunify families. And so using common language will help that. So a little bit of the why behind it. And I mentioned again, the AT&T part is a critical part of this, because in an emergency, even when we had the law enforcement activity on Highway 2, we can't communicate from the high school even to transportation, let alone transportation to Gold Bar or vice versa. So allowing some good.
Can we as a board get training on this, maybe in next month at a study session or a
Yes.
workshop, so that we know the language and everything too? Cause we get asked questions
Yeah.
and then if we don't know, it'd be nice to
Absolutely.
know,
Okay, next.
if everyone else agrees with that.
I would love that, thank you.
And just some reminders that we gave to buildings, this isn't or shouldn't be a new practice, but requiring parents and guardians to, when they're picking up the student, to show identification. That identification is checked back against what's in Power School to ensure that who's picking up the child is supposed to be there and has the right to pick up the child. Any court orders that exist would be flagged in the system so they would see that. This also helps, you know, in emergency reunification, like we just talked about, it's not gonna be the secretary that they've known for 20 years likely reunifying them. So building this habit when it's non-emergent, so that in an actual emergency, what you don't want is already frustrated and anxious parents who are just wanting to get their children to show up somewhere for reunification and say, what do you mean I need my ID? Because say, for example, we utilize staff from Monroe School District to support us, and they don't know the people that have lived here forever. And so just building that habit in non-emergent times so that in an emergency, it's a habit as opposed to a frustration. Okay. And I think this might be the last slide. Background checks, this has come up, so just wanted you to know what's happening in the district. This is something that Isaac Swartz has been working on, some consistency. We do a watch background check on volunteers that are always supervised when they're with students. So as long as they're with a staff member that's been fingerprinted, they're in the classroom, always with another adult, then that's just a Washington only check. It checks the Washington system. Volunteers who are unsupervised, currently the only people that we have in this category are coaches. So they could be on the bus, practice field, locker room, unsupervised with students. They do the Washington background check and they get fingerprints from a nationwide search. So the watch is not gonna catch everything that happened in Nevada, California, Mississippi, where they may have lived before, but a fingerprint background check will. And so we are working on getting a digital fingerprint scanner in the district, so that for people that we're hiring and people that need access, they're not having to go to Anacortes, Snohomish does it, Ferndale, I mean, they're going a farther way to get it done. And so having that inside the system and having about 4 of the staff in the district office trained to do that will make it faster. Digital fingerprints come back in 48 hours from the state. And so, and then what we will use it to generate some revenue in the sense that districts around us who don't have fingerprint digital scanners, instead of their people having to drive so far, we will partner with them to make it available where they cover the cost, but at least it will be a good partnership with some of our local school districts that need the same things we do. Okay?
Thank you for sharing, and I know that you send out a lot of this information, your weekly updates, and I apologize for asking for you to do
it's
this for
okay.
us. But I thought having it all together in one spot would be great, and then it's also on video, so if anybody has questions, they'll be there. Michael, do you have any questions? Or-
The idea to pick up your kids, that's a slow rollout, right?
They should be doing it now. 2 of the buildings have been doing it for consistently for
Okay.
years. 2 are retraining parents.
Yeah, it's gonna be a difficult one, I mean, a lot of people moving in and out.
Any other questions or comments?
No. No, that was my
Mike?
question.
No questions.
Isaac?
No.
Alright.
Yeah, random question. Was the evacuation drill supposed to be October 1st and that didn't happen, or?
It didn't happen because of weather. It's rescheduled for April 1st.
That was
And we are
gonna-
actually having a
question.
meeting with the city in the next couple weeks. They're gonna have a discussion around whether they wanna pave that Loves Hill trail.
I thought that was a done deal, they were gonna do that, so.
I-
Yeah, I know.
The email I got
No
today
comment.
says, can we meet about this? Cause that would also create a safe walk to school route for students that live there, so it would cut down on some bus routes as well.
Okay.
So we have a meeting with them next week, Charlie and I do.
Say something.
So April Fool's Day is the day.
It is the day, and it's not a joke.
I just wanna make
I
sure
know.
I heard
I know.
correctly, okay.
We have to, one of the things we needed to consider was when does the city and law enforcement and everybody have the most staff? And Wednesdays are typically a better day, Wednesdays and Thursdays, and so right before spring break.
Okay, thank you.
Bella, any questions?
So don't rob a bank on Wednesdays or Thursdays.
Or speed.
Alright, thank you very much. So we will have executive session, so let's convene. Let's say 6:37, that gives us 5 minutes, and then we'll meet for 15 minutes. If we need more, we'll come back in.
Okay.
doing?
So, alright, do I have a?
I make a motion to adjourn to executive session.
Do I have a second?
Right, second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Alright, meeting's adjourned.